Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core studio. Welcome to the show. Okay, so Wizards, I think we need to just sit down and have a conversation in regards to what spoiler season actually means, because Tarkir's spoiler season is coming up very shortly, and yet we keep getting miscellaneous random spoilers that are, yes, amazing, but kind of just out of nowhere. Let's jump into it. Celes Rune Knight. Yeah, this is from Final Fantasy. For some reason, they decided that they needed to share this one right now. Okay, not that people shouldn't be excited about it, because it is a very exciting brand new commander that is incredibly pushed, if not very easily broken, and we will talk about that here in a little bit, but okay, I guess spoiler season Final Fantasy is somehow here but not here. Let's jump into it. And all of you know my thoughts in general about Universe Beyond. Proxy Promise will be happening. Yes, it will be. Let's jump into it. A 4/4 Human Wizard Knight, because that's a thing. For 4 mana in Mardu, when Celes enters, discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards plus 1. First of all, I want to point out, does not say enters if it was cast. There is no cast requirement, meaning, yes, use and abuse that ETB very easily. Next up, though, whenever one or more other creatures you control enter, if one or more of them entered from a graveyard or was cast from a graveyard, put a +1 counter on each creature you control. Okay, so both of these things are kind of pushed in how they work, essentially. First of all, on ETB, again, no cast trigger requirement. And Wizards is... I have pushed back against Wizards over the years with certain things, like, was it Willow Dusk or whatever that one was, where it's like, oh yeah, activate on the sorcery. It's like, why? Why limit it to like, okay, only at sorcery speed, or triggers only once each turn? Sometimes they overlimit things. And sometimes they definitely underlimit them, and from what I'm seeing, it tends to be sometimes, you know, where it's like, okay, Universe is Beyond product, and they're like, okay, we want it to sell, we want to push it, and yeah, make our, you know, partners happy. So basically, with this one, though, yeah, again, that is not limited at all on that ETB. You basically have the best of all the worlds. This is essentially whatever kind of wheel you want, you get that kind of wheel. You say, okay, ETB, I wheel, I can discard whatever cards I want, so if there's a card I want to hold on to, I can, and then I draw that many +1. Now, obviously, if this was, say, in the 99 of a deck in your hand, it would just replacing itself, but you're not doing that really in Commander, right? If this is your Commander, you're just gaining an extra card. If you have 7 cards in your hand, you play this from the command zone, you're like, okay, I'll discard my entire hand, I'm drawing 8. You're going up a card. And of course, with ETBs, yeah, if you easily use and abuse and blink this, yeah, you're going up a card every single time. So again, you go from 7 to 8 to 9 to 10. You are very easily able to get more cards every single time you blink it. I mean, obviously, you kind of do need, if you're going from like turn to turn, like something like a Thought Vessel in play for no maximum hand size for that, sure, but there's also just crazy things you can do on your own turn. There's some pretty easy infinite combos with this, I'm sure, with that part. That being said as well, the second part again, which is kind of seems not like a throwaway piece to it, but it's like the exciting part is that first part, right? That being said, the second part is perhaps more easily broken. It is actually something that is incredibly easy to break with a very specific keyword that we will get to here in a little bit, but you might already been, you know, ahead of the rest of the class right now, and essentially, okay, yeah, I figured out how we go infinite with that so easily. Again, this is a commander that is not limited in either way. It is low to the ground in Mardu, which has so many great ways to do so many crazy powerful things, and of course, since you're in black, tutors, yeah, you've got tutors, and you can very easily combo with this if you want. So yeah, this is a commander that is very pushed. I mean, I'm thinking way too early on this, obviously, because we haven't seen many of the other commanders from this set and the precons and whatnot, but yeah, it's going to be pushing up there. It's going to be hard to argue against this one being like an S-tier commander already, I think, when it comes to this compared to whatever commanders we get. Unless it's going to be like, Sephiroth, 1 mana, you win the game! Yeah! Then that's the S-tier commander, but we'll see where we're at on that. That being said, let's jump into a quick take and talk about how crazy powerful we can make this, what synergies we have with it, and how to break it. So, first up, let's talk about some ways to use and abuse that trigger, and this commander, again, has 3 incredibly relevant creature types again. Human, yeah, that's a, you know, creature type that just, there's so many humans out there, and they're also starting to get some more support as well. Wizard, yeah, that is one of the most, you know, supported tribes of all time, and then Knight getting more support these days, but that being said, because it is a wizard, Harmonic Prodigy is like, yes, please. Yeah. 1/3 human wizard for 2 mana. Prowess. If an ability of a shaman or another wizard, there you go, control triggers. Ability triggers additional time. being able to double up that trigger from our commander is massive. Again, you basically say, okay, ETB, that counts twice. Draw, discard, or discard whatever amount you want. Let's again just say 7. Okay, then draw 8. Then discard your whole hand again if you want. Discard 8, go to 9. And of course, there's ways to take advantage of all those discards, all those draws. We'll talk about here in a little bit. That being said, just know that again, because it is an ETB trigger and not a cast trigger, yeah, I mean, they would still, benefit from this. That being said, like, you can more easily benefit again and again and again and again and again. Speaking of which, Roaming Throne. Yeah, this card, Wizards, when you made it, just like, I'm like, come on. This is just good for the vast majority of commanders. Any commander basically that has a trigger that you want to get again, you're like, okay, yeah, that one, but also any tribal deck basically for that too. 4/4 Golem Ward 2. Here's battlefield, choose a creature type. You can choose, again, either human, knight, or wizard, whatever you want to choose. It's the chosen type. If a triggered ability of another creature you control triggers the chosen type, triggers initial time. Basically, just double that up. Again, so basically, you can just double up that trigger, and of course, it does count the other thing as well, the counters too. So do keep that in mind, but again, more importantly, I would say, the ETB, draw a bunch of things, yeah, that's powerful. Next up, Panharmonicon. Again, if an artifact or creature entering causes a trigger ability by a party controlled triggers initial time. The OG, like, double up triggers kind of card. Yeah, again, if you've got a commander that has an ETB, and again, isn't a cast trigger requirement that you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I've got to keep bringing it back to my hand and casting it, and you can do that, this is so easily usable and abusable, especially in this color combination, because we've got access to white and certain types of cards out there. I guess black has certain kinds of cards that we can use and abuse too with it, though, but yeah, easy ways to use and abuse ETBs. This commander's got a great ETB, and we want to build around that. Because, of course, when it comes to that, well, we've got, blink effects and another type of effect we'll talk about here in a little bit, but Ephemerate is now $3. My goodness, Wizards, reprint it. That being said, Ephemerate, Cloud Shift type cards, White has so many, blink cards, essentially. You can just use a swath of them for this commander, and it's like, okay, this is a 1-mana wheel plus 1 card, for me, essentially, right? Instant for a single white mana. Exile target creature control, return to the battlefield. Under its control, it also rebounds, so you can recast again for free the next turn. So actually, this is wheel times 2 for you, plus, 2 extra cards, so have fun with that. That being said, of course, there are repeat blink effects as well. I mean, Conjurer's Closet, somehow less expensive than Ephemerate. This is not the case a while ago. An artifact for 5, beginning of your end step, you may exile target creature control, return to the battlefield under your control. A card that is nearly under $1, nearer than my budget too. I never thought I'd see it, but basically a free blink on your end step. Yeah, if you're like, okay, cool, yeah, I'll replace my hand plus a card. Why not? Just for free at the end of the turn. Why not use and abuse that? Of course, though, you also have access to kind of like what I like to think of like as the black blink in a way. Feign Death type effects. And this is just kind of the placeholder that I use. There's a lot of other cards that do basically the exact same thing, or like slightly different, but still the exact same thing. Instant for a single black mana. Until end turn, target creature gains. When it dies, bring it back to the battlefield, tap to control, they counter on it. It doesn't really matter if it's a counter on it. It doesn't matter if it's like +2/+0 or lifelink or get a treasure, whatever it is. There's a lot of different variations of this. Essentially, the Feign Death type effect. It's like, okay, yeah, my commander's about to die. Cool, I'll pay you a single mana. It comes back into play, and sure, I get that ETB again. Great, and I guess the other trigger, too. No, you don't. Well, yeah, you do, because it comes from the graveyard. That being said, yeah, being able to use and abuse ETBs, you've got plenty of ways to do them in this color combination. Of course, I'd even bring up, actually, any, like, the red kind of like create a token copy of a creature type cards, essentially like a Heat Shimmer type card, Twin Flame, those kinds of cards as well. Sure, you could utilize that if you really want to, but yeah, there's plenty of ways to use and abuse that ETB with this commander. That being said, when it comes to using and abusing that ETB and getting those benefits, there are more and more ways to do so these days. I mean, we just got from, this is an $11 card already? My goodness. Monument to Endurance. We just got this from Aether Drift. Artifact for 3. Whenever you discard a card, choose one that has been chosen this turn. Draw, treasure token. Each opponent loses 3 life. You only get once those each turn, but again, literally you're going to get all 3 of them at once, basically every single time your commander ETBs, because you're like, yeah, I'll discard 3 or more cards. Cool. Oh, cool. I get an extra card number 1. So again, if I had 7, now I'm going up to 8 with my commander, and plus another one from this that is 9. Goodness gracious. You also get a treasure token, so you get that mana back again if you're like, Ephemerate. Cool. All right, I got my mana back from that already. Each opponent loses 3 life. Cool. I'm just draining my opponents as well. Speaking of draining, Shield to the Apocalypse. Now, this one, when I say wheel, it is a wheel just for you, right? It is not a wheel that forces your opponents to wheel as well, which has positives and negatives to it, but one negative is you can't destroy your opponents with Shield Grid, but a positive is you can still destroy your, not destroy your opponents, but destroy your opponents' hopes and dreams with your life total going to oblivion. Not oblivion, infinite? There we go, the opposite. 4/5 for Phyrexian Praetor, that is $76 with Death Touch for 4 mana. Whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. When an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. yeah, being able to just gain an absurd amount of life with this, it is so good. You go and you say, okay, ETB, again, I discard 7, I draw 8, whatever it is. All right, I just gained 16 life for doing that. Yeah, good luck ever hurting me. Also with Hemorrhoid's Archive, cool, if that's in play as well. If you gain life, you gain twice so much life instead. Lovely, good for you. More importantly, though, if you would draw a card except the first one you draw on each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. Yeah, you don't have access to blue with this. You don't have, like, Teferi's Aegis Insight or Thought Reflection, but you do have this, and being able to double up your draws, again, now, instead of just being like, okay, I'm replacing my hand +1, it is so much more than that now. Again, in that scenario where you're, discarding 7, you go, okay, I draw 8. Now you draw 16. You literally just double up your hand and then some just by your commander ETBing, which is absolutely obnoxiously crazy and powerful. So again, even though you do have access to a lot of great tutors, obviously, because you are in black, yeah, you might not need them because you're just churning through your deck until you get what you need to win. Speaking of which, how about Surly Badgersaur? A crazy good card. 3/3 Badger Dinosaur, because that's the thing, for 4 mana in red. Or discard a creature card, get a counter on this, or discard a land card, create treasure token, or discard a non-creature, non-land card, fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. I mean, basically, what really matters for this one, it's nice that, you're discarding creatures, you're discarding non-creatures, and you're like, okay, I get this larger, I fight things, cool, I take them out. Great. What's really good, though, is, hey, every single time I discard a land, I get a treasure, so yeah, you can definitely, like, just churn through your entire deck with this in play, essentially, with the right combination of cards. You're like, okay, yeah, I blink my commander, discard my hand, all these lands, I got extra treasures. Cool, I'll blink my commander again with a new blink spell I just drew into. Do it again, do it again, do it again. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Bone Miser, obviously, $26 now. My goodness, Wizards reprint this. 4/4 Zombie Wizard for 5 mana. Discard a creature card, make a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Discard a land card, add black. Discard a non-creature non-land card, draw a card. You didn't know that you needed that much value with this commander, did you? I mean, goodness gracious. Again, whatever you're doing, you are making an army. You are getting an absurd amount of mana, again, from discarding lands. Yeah, if you can't churn through your deck with all this mana from this and Surly Badgersaur, I don't know what you're doing. And then also, you're just drawing even more cards. So, yeah, I guess you got to be a little careful because you might run out of cards in your deck. That being said, of course, it might not matter because although Shieldred can't punish your opponents from you drawing cards, Psychosis Crawler, of course, can. And because of state-based actions, it's going to be staying in play. Star for Rexian. Power Tubs each equal number of cards in your hand. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. Yeah, being able to just go, oh, okay, yeah, I discard my entire hand. Yeah, for Psychosis Crawler will stay around because of state-based actions, I believe, right? Judges, help me out there. Or explain the entire rules in the description below. Thank you. But yeah, being able to then just say, oh, okay, I drew 8. All right, drain my opponents for 8. That's 24 in total with 3 opponents. Do it again because I blink again. Oh, okay. Yeah, your opponents are going to be long for this world at all. And again, we haven't even gotten to the crazy OP combo part of this commander. Because there's this little mechanic called, or keyword called persist. Just a little thing right here. A 2/2 zombie goblin for 2 mana in black persist. This creature literally does almost nothing except for, hey, when I die, if I didn't have any -1/-1 counters on me, I come back into play with a -1/-1 counter on me. And when I was a kid, it didn't work like this, where like the counters, cancel each other out. Like a -1/-1 counter and a +1 counter, they both just existed on the creature if they had both. Now, though, I can't remember what year that changed, but basically a +1 counter and a -1/-1 counter, just to simplify things, cancel each other out. And because of that, persist with a commander like this is incredibly powerful and, yes, very easily breakable. So basically, literally, if you just have this creature and you have a way to freely sacrifice it and you've got your commander in play, you probably win. I mean, like, if you have a certain, sacrifice out, you just win. You literally just win, because your creature's like, okay, I leave, I come back, 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 I leave, I come back. All of your creatures are infinitely large. All the other creatures are, essentially, right? They all get, like, all the counters on them. Rules layers out there. Okay, not infinite, technically, but a trillion. They all have a trillion counters on them, okay? So you probably just win from that. Or, again, if you've got a sacrifice out, like, say, like, a Goblin Bombardment, you just win. Enchantment for 2 mana. Sacrifice a creature, 1 damage to a creature or player. Wizards reprint this, please. It used to be under $1. I really like when it's under $1. Okay, so being able to just ping your opponents and other creatures if you really want to, sure. But yeah, being able to just take them all out, of course, this is a very good sacrifice element. Viserys here, that kind of stuff, you can just, like, scry your entire deck if you want. There's plenty of ways to win once you have any persist creature. Again, literally any persist creature. And again, you're in black. You can tutor on top of your commander just being like a wheel-churning, go-through your entire deck type commander. Absolutely crazy. Or if you just have Murderous Redcap and literally any sacrifice outlet, again, Viserys here, whatever you want, free sacrifice outlet, I should say, you win. 2/2 Goblin Assassin from 4 mana in Rakdos, comes into play, deals damage to its power target creature player, persist. Literally, again, just comes back into play again and again and again and again and again. Ping, 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 ping. Shocks everyone to death, and they all go away. That's basically how that works. Even if you're not going infinite, though, I mean, just Cauldron of Souls, such a good card with this commander. Artifact for 5. Tap, choose any number of target creatures. Each of those creatures gain persistence all turn. Basically, your army, as long as you can just keep doing this, is unkillable, because it's like, okay, yeah, oh, you cast a board wipe? All right, great. I'll tap this. My creatures gain persist. They come back into play, and now they also get the counters on them, so it gets to remove those -1 counters thanks to my commander. Yeah, again, literally infinite combinations very easily. Your commander can churn through your deck to get those, and yeah, you just have the tutors as well because you're in black as well. So again, this commander, incredibly pushed. I mean, even if you aren't going infinite persist creatures, though, I mean, it's still very powerful to have something like a reassembling skeleton, all right? 1/1 skeleton warrior for 2 mana, pay 2 mana, essentially. Bring it back from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Being able to just say, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, hey, you know what I'd like to grow my army. Let's just bring this back from the graveyard. Good job, skeleton. Yay. All right, everyone gets a counter for me just paying 2 mana and bringing it back. And you know what? I'm sorry, skeleton. There's actually something I need you to do. I need you to die. Sacrifice Viserys here, put it back in your sacrifice this with Viserys here or whatever other free sacrifice out you have. Put it back in your graveyard, bring it back out, and guess what? You just paid another 2 mana just to literally get another counter on all of your creatures. And if you have a go wide strategy, great. Or how about like Bloodghast, right? This one's free. I can't believe this one's less than $1 now. This used to be like a $15 card. My goodness. 2/1 Vampire Spirit for 2 mana in black. Can't block. It's got haste if it's got 10 less life. Cool. What really matters, though, is it could literally do nothing else. If it was just like a 0/1 that had landfall, whenever a land you control enters, you may return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield, it would still see play. Because this is great creature fodder that, again, can just keep coming back into play again and again and again and again and again. And every single time it does so, you are literally just getting a counter on all of your creatures. So, again, there's a lot of different viable strategies with this commander, and you can go a lot of crazy ways with it. At the end of the day, what is life, Wizards? What is spoiler season? What in the world is going on? We have spoiler season coming up next week for Tarkir, and all of a sudden you're just like, by the way, Final Fantasy! Yay! Is Aether Drift not doing very well? That's my thought process. I assume Aether Drift's not doing very well, so you're like, we need to make people excited about future sets. What do people like? Final Fantasy, I guess. Here we go. Let's go right now. Okay, all right. Random cards coming out. All right, some leaks. Put some leaks out there, too, but don't tell them that they're leaks from us. Don't tell them that. I'm not saying that they actually leak the cards, but maybe they do. Okay, yeah, but this is a very, very push commander again. I typically don't like to really early say, like, this is going to be like an S-tier commander in the list, essentially, but it's probably going to be an S-tier commander in the list. It's pretty hard to compete with this, though, that being said, we haven't seen all the cards yet, obviously, or anywhere near all the cards, obviously, or anywhere near all the commanders, obviously, from Final Fantasy. So, yeah, I might be wrong when, again, it's like, 1 mana, Sephiroth, you win the game. ETB, yeah. Oh, it's a cast trigger, though. Don't worry, it's a cast trigger. Okay, all right. Yeah, this is crazy push, though. This is, again, on ETB, no cast trigger requirement. Free wheel that is like flexible to what you want to be. Again, wheel +1 just for you. And then also, hey, just happens to combo with persist creatures as well for basically no reason. I don't know why they threw that on there. I really don't. Like, they could have like put a counter on each other creature you control. Like, that would have solved that, right? Like, I'm not saying they should have. I'm just saying, like, they could have solved that very easily. They had to know when they designed the card that, like, persist creatures go combo with this. Anytime you make any kind of a commander that's like, hey, enter, counter, creature. You probably should just like check, like, does it combo with persist creatures? Do we care about that? I guess they don't, or they really aren't paying attention. There's a lot of commanders that they're making this year, so we shall see. Regardless, if you are interested in these cards, make sure you check out that cardless link in the description below. I think it's going to be a pretty popular commander. Yeah, it's pushed and popular, and yeah, very powerful. And with that, this episode is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. In the comments below, let me know your thoughts are on this episode, and of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.